Well, Darren, thank you very much for joining me once again on game day. Oh dear, oh dear. Carried away were we on Saturday, but tonight it's the same old story. A 2-1 defeat against Peterborough. We took the lead, and then the rest is You can take it away. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's I had a bit of an epiphany sort of this week after the game because I've been a real grumpy old man, right? Which I am in general, but against the football team, it became personal. Like because I don't like Lambert, I don't want him to be manager. It then became I'm not supporting the team. So I thought, no, that's not good enough. So got all my gear on this week, all my match day, lucky clothes, all that. 2 up front. It's like, come on. And then obviously, as we just discussed, the first couple of minutes, a long ball flick on, but then we see the benefit of 2 up front. There's more chance. It's got to fall to someone. Great finish by Norwood, 1-0 up. And then the rest of the half was long ball, long ball, long ball. The commentators made a good point about the pitch because the way that we looked like we'd been told to play was get the ball, and as soon as you've got it, launch it. Because you could see Norwood and everyone just, when we get the ball, they just made runs. And the commentators made a point that all the visiting teams come to the game thinking the pitch is rubbish, we can't play. When in fact you probably can. I don't know if you played Sunday football like me, but I've played on pitches miles worse than that, and They're all right, So, and in the second half, we were just clueless, absolutely clueless. No one really knew what they were doing. Peterborough are a good team. They play in a certain way. They've got dangerous people in good positions, and they made us look rubbish, And I think, as we discussed, the fullbacks, that was an interesting change. I feel sorry for Kenlock because he's done great. Ward, I'm sure other people will say it, but I think he's done. He had a rest. He's had a rest, so he should have been fresh. But clearly in the first half he had no protection at all because we were in this narrow thing, and which was how we played so much last season. It was all just really narrow, no width, just narrow. So he was exposed, and obviously Chambers didn't really have a great game either. We were lucky. Flynn Downs should have been sent off. I haven't seen it in slow-mo or anything, but he was very lucky not to get sent off. Dizelle on a yellow is then, petulantly pulled someone down. He could have gone. But I think all the players are just frustrated. We just got outplayed by a better team, and, we don't really know what we're doing anymore. So, it's we need a change. My fear is that nothing will change. Who we play? We're away again on Saturday, aren't we?
Shrewsbury, yeah.
Shrewsbury, who've just beaten Sunderland tonight, I think.
Yeah.
So they've they can play, get a result. So we'll, you'd like to think. I think the result tonight, if we'd have won, that could have really kind of kick-started things. 2 wins on the bounce, we would have been closer to the teams above us with games in hand. It's all good. That whether that game is the game that now kills our playoffs hope, probably not. There's still a lot of games to go, but I know Stuart Watson's just put out a tweet of 8 losses against the top, in 8 games against the top teams. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. So unless we make a change, Lambert's had time to prove what he can do, and what he can do isn't good enough. So get him out.
So David, thank you for joining me as ever on game day. And it's the same old story. Town have been beaten 2-1 by Peterborough. Your thoughts on a terrible pitch, but the happiness of Saturday is turned to the same old story once again.
Yes, yeah. I celebrated the first goal thinking maybe Saturday was following into, and there were green shoots, but it wasn't green shoots, it's a bucket of snot, isn't it? We first, 5-6 minutes at the start, either side of the goal, then we looked quite bright. I think we caught Peterborough on the hop. I don't think they were expecting us to do that, and I think that was the problem. As soon as they worked it out, then it was about 15 minutes in. Then they started to push us back, got in behind. Don't know why we're conceding the space behind the fullbacks the whole time, because we haven't been able to defend a cross for the last 4 years. So it seems a bizarre tactic. Yeah, changing around the second half had a limited effect. We kept the ball a little bit better, or we played a bit further up the pitch, but we didn't create anything, did we? I mean, there was Parrott's late snap shot right at the death, and Edwards' sort of speculative drive. But really, there was nothing in there, was there? We huffed and we puffed, and Peterborough weren't anything. Really, I mean, they got into some reasonable positions. Potentially, they could have got into some more if they hadn't kept being offside and stuff, because they were pushing right up. But they weren't anything much, really. They weren't they weren't a patch on what they were last season when we lost 4-1. I mean, that was a real caning. If we'd have been vaguely competent, then we could have got something from that game. But we're not vaguely competent because we're run by an idiot. Changes. If Matheson at 18 isn't capable of playing 2 games in 4 days, then quite frankly, he should stop being an athlete. If Kenlock at 24 can't play 3 games in 11 days, then again, really he's in the wrong profession. Maybe he needs to go and get an office job somewhere. Non-league players can manage that sort of thing. I know that Mick Mills has been having a rant about it regularly over the last few weeks, saying that people used to play week in, week out on heavy pitches. The pitches are much better these days. I know the commentators tonight said that was an outstanding pitch and it's held up really well, but it was just a throwback pitch, wasn't it? I mean, pitches were all like that 20 years ago. No, it was just crap. We couldn't keep the ball. We had no threat up front, and I know the commentators again said we had Troy and Terry Parrott on the pitch, but even with 2 Parrotts, we weren't anything. No, Ward can't do it. Don't understand how he managed to stay unbooked. Didn't offer anything going forward from the fullbacks because they're too old. You can only play those 2 as sitting fullbacks if you've got runners in front of them. If you've got some wide players who can run and take the ball and take that, you can have defensive fullbacks. But without that, if you're relying on them for the width, which you are if you're playing a narrow diamond, then you've got to have athletic fullbacks who get forward. And we didn't. It's just rank incompetence from the idiot, isn't it? I keep trying, and I was thinking this before the game yesterday. I'm incredibly negative about Lambert. He could come around with a £5,000 reward for me for passing comment, and I'd still think he was an arsehole. I've never felt like this about a manager, and I was wondering whether I've got a bit too negative. And then you see that turned up and you think, no, I'm not too negative. He is worse than John Duncan. He is worse than Paul Jewell. He is worse than Paul Hurst. And quite frankly, I'd rather Hurst was here. I'd rather Hurst had never been sacked, because I don't think we would have been in this position. I think Hurst had a plan. He'd put it into place badly. I don't think Lambert has the vaguest clue. So I don't think I'm being unduly negative. So, roll on another defeat.
Well, Ben, thanks for joining me as ever. Of course, I had a different feeling after the Saturday result. I'm Bill Murray, coming in for the Groundhog Day. A defeat against a top 10 side, 2-1 at Peterborough. Your thoughts, my friend?
Obviously, going to be negative like everybody else is. I haven't got a single positive that I can cling on to, I don't think. We'll come crashing back down to earth. I don't think really any of us can be surprised. Those of us who've watched us for the last getting on for years, unfortunately, it's no longer a blip. It's no longer a monthly issue or a few months or 6 months or even a year. This has been an issue now that's going on for years for the club. The main thing I was horrified really was another big game that we lost. The stats are there for all to see. Seems blatantly obvious in black and white. But just the performance, watching a game on a terrible pitch. If I'd switched on, that whole adage of coming down from another planet as an alien life form and watch that, you'd be thinking, is this a non-league team against, higher opposition? The way we're scrambling around, chasing the ball, running in the dark, like clearing last 6 tackles, dropping the ball, diving about, not going with runners. And I've said it so many times to you before, our disciplinary, just our attitude, it's horrendous. Like cynical fouls, dirty fouls. You know, we love our young academy lads, but Dazelle gets booked every week. Downs' his tackle. I mean, it was a lot worse than some other fouls we've had sendings off for this year. And again, you know, you can only go back and point at one thing, which is the management. It's got to come from the management. What is he doing in terms of leading them, telling them how to act, telling them, you know, in terms of playing professionally? I didn't mind it from the start. The 11, I can understand why he's gone that way with the terrible pitch and us playing more direct. And of course, we get the goal. But, you know, after 5 minutes, we weren't in it. We were not in it. I've seen Taylor's comments saying we deserved a draw. We didn't. You know, I tried to be positive. Like, you know, I was talking to my dad earlier, and he said it's the first time he's posted negatively for 60 years on TWTD. You know, we're a positive bunch as a whole, but it's just dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful, and I don't see anything changing right now. I don't see Lambert going. I really don't. I wish I had some sort of inkling to say that, you know, he's going to be moved on, but you know, we might win on Saturday and beat Shrewsbury or get a draw, but it's just going to be a slow death, a death by 1,000 cuts. All the same, you know, analogies that we've all heard before. We're continuing on, unfortunately. So yeah, it's negative from me on a cold Tuesday night in lockdown. There's no positive comments from me this evening, Ross. I'm very sorry, Town fans.
Well, Matt, thank you for joining me as ever. Oh dear, we're all happy on Saturday. Won't getting too carried away, but it's back to the old story. Defeat against Peterborough. Your thoughts, my friend?
Here we go again. Well, yeah, I'm kind of the eternal optimist, and I thought Saturday we looked decent. We changed things where they needed to be changed, and I think sadly today is yet another example of changes for change's sake. As I said to you in the preamble, you know, we've got a hell of a lot of games in only a few weeks, really, and today wasn't the game to change it. You know, Posh is as much as I hate to say it, they're a decent side. You know, technically they keep the ball very well and they're strung out wide. So what do? We put two aging fullbacks who, when we started that game, I saw when the lineup was announced, I thought this looks like a diamond, and I think I've said it on the KOA game day extra time a few times. You know, I am a fan of the 4-4-2 diamond. Yes, that kind of makes our decent wide players redundant, like your boy Guion, Brian Edwards, and I really thought tonight could have been the day for him to shine. So yeah, disappointed with the changes. We did start really brightly. We had some really nice passages of play, some nice kind of triangles in midfield, and we were keeping the ball, and they really didn't look like they were at the races. I think the changing point for the game, sorry, was the Downs booking. Yes, it was a strong challenge. I think he got a tiny little bit of the ball. Was he lucky not to go off? I don't know. I think some refs would have given it. Some refs wouldn't have given anything at all. So I think we can be happy with the yellow card. We might bemoan the pitch. Yes, it was awful. They've got horrendous drainage problems. You know, I don't have much sympathy for that football club, in all honesty. But you know, they had to play on it as well, and they were passing it around very well. They looked like they had a purpose, and I think it's such a shame because, you know, a few days ago we did play some decent football. We created some good chances. Today, Troy, aka Tony Parrott, he had a good game. He was everywhere. But the thing is, when a player of his quality has to come that far deep, there's usually a reason for it. He was getting deeper and deeper as the second half got on before he was taken off. And sadly, that leaves a massive gap up front. I was surprised with Norwood's inclusion, really. I thought he would have been coming off the bench. I thought he looked decent. Lovely goal, great finish. I think we've all forgotten how good that goal was. That was almost like it's a sort of goal that gets scored against us. You know, decent striker left with far too much time and space and finishes it first time, leaving the goalie with no chance. Their first goal was incredibly soft. I mean, we should never be conceding goals like that. It was almost, when you're watching it, it's almost in kind of slow motion. And, you know, what a kick in the teeth. Going 2-1 down right after the restart. That's almost as bad as scoring or conceding a goal kind of just before half time. It's just, you just lose all the momentum, all of the impetus that's possibly been given to them with the half-time pep talk, if the players even get that. I mean, yes, I am in the Lambert out camp, but I think we do live in strange times with regards to football, and whilst I do think that we definitely need a change, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's got anything to do with the amount of time left on his contract. He won't receive a big payoff. People need to get that out their heads. He's just going to carry on receiving a salary, basically, a little bit like Mourinho did when he left Man U. So maybe can we read anything into him not doing the press conference? I don't know. Maybe he's sick of the sound of his own voice after games, saying the same thing and coming up with the same old excuses. But we go again. We've got another kind of away trip on Saturday, haven't we? Probably all, another 4 or 5 changes. I think we're going to have to get used to that. I really do. But we do have 53 professionals, I think it is, to keep happy. But it's crap losing. Our record against the top 10 is absolutely shocking. Everybody keeps on saying it's 9 defeats now in a row against the top 9, but I think I saw a tweet from one of the EFL Twitter accounts saying we've lost 10 in a row against the top 10. So I don't know. Do we accept the fact that we're not where we want to be? When do we have to start feeling comfortable about that? But I don't want to finish 11th again. We're far better than that. We deserve. I don't know. It's a bit of a perverse thought, isn't it? We're Ipswich and we deserve to be better. No, we don't. We're exactly where we damn well should be. An interesting news today about the salary cap, but going back to the game, we were beaten by a better team. It didn't matter how well we played. I think even at our best, we would have struggled to beat that posh team. So on we go. Is it Shrewsbury away on Saturday? Yeah, another tough one, but they're not unbeatable. And you know what? We might even win. So there you go. Fingers crossed. But let's move on.
Well, Segs, it's happened again. We've lost against a top 10 side. We weren't getting carried away on Saturday. It was nice to have a nice positive feeling, but tonight another defeat, 2-1 against Peterborough. Take away your thoughts.
Well, to be honest, I'm sick and tired of just being sick and tired of wanting Lambert out. It's been so long now. I just don't know when it's going to end. I mean, what more can it take to get rid of the fraud? I saw earlier, it's like 10 losses from the top 10, or out the past top 10 from the top 7 or something like that. I can't remember the exact stat, but it's 9 losses from the top 9 losses from like the last 9 games against the top 10 is what Stuart Watson said. So that's kind of there's so many stats flying around at the moment. It's all just stupid for a team of us. The squad that we've got, the number of players we've got, for us to be in 11th, closer to 17th or 18th to what we are in 5th. You kind of think, surely the stats don't lie there. It just shows how much we're falling down, and our record is just abysmal at the moment. And he can't turn it around. He's not going to turn it around. He's had far too long here now to try and turn it around. I mean, it's been 2.5 years now. You can kind of give him a let off for the Championship relegation season if you want to. I mean, it's either or. But our League One record under Lambert it's been poor. There's no two ways about it. And I think tonight, really, it's all on his fault. I mean, we had 2, and I know it's Ken Lark, so obviously you're perhaps not as
right.
If he had a good game Saturday. So we had 2 fullbacks there who had 2 good games, and at the start of the season he was saying, you played to keep your place. They played to keep their place, especially Ken Lark, 2 good games in a row, and he's gone and lost it to Ward, who tonight, frankly, was abysmal. He's a 35-year-old. His legs are gone. He's made too many mistakes this season, let alone tonight. And he's been brought back in for what? To cost us the game. I don't know what he was doing for their first goal. For someone who experienced, he should be challenging better than he was. Chambers, on the other hand, yeah, you can't quite blame him as well for the first goal. But he's gone out. He's made a poor challenge. He's gone out to chase the ball instead of looking around him, checking his surroundings, and he's left a winger of Peterborough's available to pass to. And yeah, Judge perhaps should have got to it. McGuinness should have done better. Maybe Holy should have done better. But at the same time, your position was just wrong and cost us the first goal. And especially when we've gone 1-0 up in the 6th minute, just like we did last year at Peterborough. Thankfully, we managed to get a draw, but it's exactly the same minute as last year, and we've just gone and lost it. Why he left those fullbacks vulnerable for so long, I don't know. It worked for a little while, but then Peterborough worked us out, and they're the better team. No one can deny that. So the first 15 minutes, yeah, we were getting into it. We were perhaps keeping the ball better, and then we just lost our way. And said the fullbacks were vulnerable for the first half. They were passing it around, and the second half we didn't really do much. I think Parrott arguably was running around, looked like he wants to play for us. Downs was our best player on the pitch by far, but they worked us out, and they should have won by more than 2. It should have been like it was at home last season, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 6 for us. Maybe in a repeat of the 7-1 when we went back there in 2011. Sorry, but we should have lost by more. We're lucky not to have done, and fortunately for Lambert, the result tells a lie, and it should have, like I say, it should have been more. He's got a way over there, and to hide away from the journalists again tonight, even though he's played in Germany, he loves Celtic. You know, he's hid away from this Radio Suffolk. Hid away. I'm not sure if he's hid away from Stuart. I don't know. I haven't seen that bit, but at this time, but obviously he's hid away from Brenner. How can someone of his caliber, let's say, he doesn't feel the pressure yet he's scared of Brenner? It's laughable. It's just a joke. He's got to go. I've said it so many times. He's got to go. It's just his fault for tonight. We can't beat a top 10 side. It's never ending circle. We beat Blackpool on Saturday. I'll be repeating the same again Saturday evening on game day, and it'll just be circle like we do, and we'll just keep doing it until he's gone, and hopefully things will get better. But yeah, deflated, sick, tired, bored, annoyed, obviously angry, but it's just gone on for so long now. I don't really know how long this is going to go on for. So hopefully sooner rather than later, but I can't see it.